The Nole Insiders are here in Syracuse. Florida State set to take on the Orange. High noon on Saturday. Lane Hurt here with Tim Linnefelt. Tim, first road trip for Willie Taggart and the Seminoles this year. Always an interesting opponent when you take on Syracuse and the high-powered offense. Thoughts leading up to this game?
You look at Syracuse, what they've been able to do in their first two games against Western Michigan and Wagner. Obviously, neither of those schools the caliber of Virginia Tech or even Samford when you give their standing in the FCS. But they put up a ton of points, put up a ton of yards, 55 points one week, 62 points another week. They have a really good senior quarterback. So it's a good test for Florida State. I know in the last few years, Syracuse, they finished 4-8, I think, in Coach Dino Baber's first 2 years. But you can see signs of life in the offense, and so far through 2 games, that offense looks really good. So a test for Florida State coming on the road and a test for Harlan Barnett's defense.
For the Seminoles, let's start with the defense since you mentioned Harlan Barnett. They got 5 turnovers last week. That's the good. Gave up a ton of yards through the air. Still playing a lot of freshmen. They want to see more pressure on the quarterback and obviously make some changes and not give up as many yards. Happy with the progress that we're seeing defensively?
Well, I think you have to be from week 1 to week 2. The question is, can you make a similar stride in week 3? Willie Taggart pretty much issued a challenge to his defensive backs after last week. Said, as good as Samford's quarterback was, he wants his defensive backs to play with more aggressiveness, wants them to play with better technique, better physicality, and just go up and make some more plays. Sometimes, a lot of those guys were just in one-on-one situations where it's either you're going to make the play or the other guy's going to make the play, and Willie Taggart wants to see his guys make the play more than they did in the first 2 weeks. So, again, certainly a challenge. It'll be interesting to see on the fast track inside on the turf there. Syracuse, as we mentioned, has a really good quarterback in Eric Dungy. Also has a really good receiver in Jamal Custis. So, there's going to be opportunities for those DBs to make some plays. Something's going to happen in the passing game tomorrow. It's just a matter of who rises to the occasion.
Florida State offensively, I think you saw it near the end of the game, what the offense can do without the penalties, without some of the mistakes. Very, very good, very, very fast when they want to get that tempo going, but still too many mental mistakes. They want to clean those up. Willie Taggart seems slightly optimistic as well on what this offense can do moving forward.
Well, you always remember the thing you saw last, and for Florida State, what they saw last was what their best showing of the night, a long drive they had to have to get some points to win that game. The last of 6 different offensive line combinations, which also looked like the best offensive line combination. We'll see what they go out there with tomorrow. But yeah, that's an encouraging sign for Florida State. One of the phrases that Willie Taggart loves to say, he likes to say or use the terminology clean game. He wants to see Florida State play a clean game, meaning, no procedural penalties, no moving behind the sticks or making the wrong decision. They haven't done that yet. They've made some plays, they've scored some points against Samford, but they haven't played a clean game yet. And that's really what this offense runs on, is not having those penalties, making the right read at the line of scrimmage, getting into 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6 rather than 2nd and 11, 2nd and 12, and keeping things on schedule. It's when that happens is when this offense reaches its full potential.
Finally, Eric Dungy, you mentioned his name twice already. Maybe the toughest quarterback in the ACC, certainly makes this offense go. Just how big of a task is it to try to slow down this high-powered offense with Dungy at the helm?
Well, it's going to be a big test. I think this is the first time this season that Florida State will have faced a quarterback who runs the way that Eric Dungy runs. He's already run for, I think, over 200 yards and a touchdown on the ground to go along with his passing production. 6'4", about 225 pounds, so he's a load to bring down. He's tough. Those linebackers are going to be in for a challenge. I think they're probably going to be tested pretty early on, and as Willie Taggart said, and he was referring to his own offense when he said this, but when you have the threat of a quarterback running the ball, it makes you defend 11 guys instead of 10. Florida State is looking to establish that with its offense. Syracuse has it with Eric Dungy, so everybody's going to have to be on their cues. And Levante Taylor said earlier this week, when you play an offense like this, you're tempted to abandon your job and try to do somebody else's when you see which way the ball's going or what's happening. And you really can't do that. It has to be 11 guys for 11 guys if you're going to defend an offense with a guy like Eric Dungy who's a threat to run.
There you have it, Seminole fans. It's the Noles and the Orange, high noon on Saturday on ESPN. And of course, we'll have all your post-game coverage as Florida State looks for their first road win under Willie Taggart. For Tim, I'm Lane. Go Noles.